Keller.
Yeah,
Liz
Barney,
Keller.
yeah, Catherine
Yeah.
Liz.
That's right.
We're Lindsay,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Woodward,
Yeah.
Kim,
Yeah.
Mark Nichols,
Oh
Jane
yeah.
Titus. Like,
Yeah.
we're all together. I haven't seen Angela.
Mr. Caleb Straley is our third presenter for today, and he focused on sports management, specifically here in the county. Caleb?
Well, good morning. I'm Caleb Straley, and my senior project was focused around sports management here in the county. The reason I chose this topic was because when I was younger, my dad, here as athletic director for Louisiana County High School, I was always following him to games, practices, just everywhere he went. And I enjoyed most of it. Away games were kind of iffy, but I enjoyed most of it, and I wanted to see what he did and try to just understand what athletic directors, people like that do. So my internship here was with Coach Stanley, mainly through football season and then throughout some of basketball and cheer season. Um, it was it was really enjoyable, and it really taught me about most of short-term communication and how to communicate with people on the fly and make sure people get the stuff that they need done. My first day, I was with Coach Stanley most of the time. I worked with the press box and understood how all that operated. And then I got to go down to the track and lead a bunch of Little League football teams out onto the track for Little League recognition night. That was extremely fun. One of the kids decided he wanted to keep kicking me, but it was still enjoyable to see them go out there and have a good time out on the track. Um, this led me to my second day. Right here is the tunnel that they use to that they have the football team enter through for their game day preparation. And I got to be Coach Stanley jumped me on Wyatt Hyder, and this is where I learned about concessions, pregame setup, and the tunnel, and then concessions. With concessions, it was a lot. It was a lot to learn. There's a lot of pregame food preparations you have to do. Like hot dogs have to be cooked specifically at this time in order for them to be ready by game time. Hamburgers have to be somewhat before that, but most of that was really enjoyable. And when you learn about food, it's always really enjoyable. Most of the rest of the football season was the same thing, mostly concessions and setting up the press box and the scoreboard. This led to basketball season, where if you see right here, this was the main entranceway for fans to go through. And one of my jobs for one of the cheer competitions was to guard that door and prevent people from bringing food or drink inside of the gym. And well, people get mad. There was a couple people screamed, and there were a lot of people I had to chase down. But it was relatively fun to have near front row seats, even with that kind of little bit of setback. This led me to my research. When I was initially picking a topic for my research, I didn't really have a set focus, and so when I needed to interview someone, I decided I was going to interview Coach Stanley, and he taught me through that interview that some of the things that sports provide are accountability, honorability, how to win, and how to lose, and that really said something to me. And then he also mentioned something about how many people should have the access to these benefits that sports provide. And so after that, I looked at a little more research, and that's when I found Duty Chan. Duty Chan is the national runner for India for the women's division. And a couple years back, there was some speculation around her running, and so they decided to did a genetics check, a test, in which they take your blood and then they measure the amount of testosterone in the blood, and what they found was that her testosterone value was 10 times higher than the average woman, and so therefore she was disqualified from any major competition. treated her as female, and so forth. And so when it came to surprise, I thought there's got to be a way in order to prevent this happening again. And she's been through many legal battles and just recently has managed to win her case. And so through my research, I decided that I was going to look at intersex individuals and how to make sure that they are accounted for and registered as that when they go into competition, so that this kind of surprise does not happen. This plan would go through high school, college, and then on to the professional level, and would make sure that no one is surprised when something like this would happen. And then there was my community service. For my community service, I decided I wanted to do something with Louisa Little League. As for the last 9 years, I had been involved with the league through All-Stars, my brothers playing, and much like Caroline, much of my vacations have been planned around sports. And so I decided I was going to do a fundraiser for Louisa Little League. And so that's when I decided I was going to do the hit-a-thon. Now the hit-a-thon in years past for Louisa Little League had been somewhat of a staple, but last year, due to difficulties, they were unable to do fundraiser. So I wanted to revamp it and make sure that it was here to stay and it would be a solid fundraiser. In November, I had to present to the Louisa Little League Board of Directors about my plan for the hit-a-thon. And thankfully, it was a unanimous decision of yes, and I was able to run the hit-a-thon. This was also where we agreed that opening day for Louisa Little League would be the day that I run the hit-a-thon. So mainly through March and late February, I would go around the teams, I would prepare forms, I would do everything that I needed to do to make sure that this hit-a-thon ran smoothly. And thankfully it ran fairly smoothly. Mainly, one of the main things I wanted to focus on was making sure that the coaches got the message out to players that this needed to be done, and kind of push it along to make sure that it was a success. And so here's a picture of the senior league field down in the town of Louisa on opening day for the hit-a-thon. So for the hit-a-thon, the rule we said was that you get 5 swings, and you would hit it as far as you can. And when they did the fundraising, they collected money in one of 2 ways. First way was through a flat pledge, which basically would be a flat donation. They would donate $10 or $20 or however much they wanted to donate. And then there was the second way, which was through pledges, and they would pledge money by the foot in which they hit it. And so, for example, if you had 10 cents and you hit it 100 feet, that would be about $10. The day ran really smoothly. There was a little rough patch right in the beginning with some teams not getting there on time, but after that it ran smoothly, and we ended up finishing ahead of schedule, which is one of the things that was one of the main issues in the past. I'm happy to say that this hit-a-thon is now the new record holder for most money raised, as we raised $8,100 for the Louisa Little League. Right here, I have some photos of after the event, showing the impact it had on some families and the kids. It ended up being a memorable event, and I'm very happy to say that many kids enjoyed it. Some of the kids got medals, and it was a really good day. So for personal impact, one of the main things I learned about was communication. For my internship, as I said, it was more short-term communication and making sure everything was in place, while the hit-a-thon was more long-term communication, as I would constantly send messages out to coaches, getting more forms ready, making sure everything was pushed out. For the future, I'm still a little undecided on what I'm going to major in, but I've decided that I'm going to either go to Christopher Newport, James Madison, or Virginia Tech as my future. There are many people I have to thank. The slide only has so much room, and I was unable to fit almost everyone I needed to be on here. But the main people I want to thank are Coach Stanley and Hyder, as they really helped my internship and helped me throughout my internship. And then I really want to thank Vicky Purcell over there, as he's been battling cancer for a while now, and he still agreed to help me throughout the hit-a-thon process, and I just really want to thank him for that. And that concludes that presentation. Are there any questions?
For your research paper, what was the big steps you identified in order to prevent that from happening?
Thank you. So with high school, there would be, as a part of the physical, there would be a blood test and test the amount of testosterone in the blood. I'm unsure how much more that would cost, but that would be the initial step, and that way we could identify them early on. And then basically, if they decided to go female or male, they could take the proper hormones or pheromones to make sure that they would, in the future, identify as that, so that it would kind of reduce the small impact that testosterone might have.
Well, what would you say the most surprising or interesting aspect of research?
Surprising. Basically, I thought there would be a lot more to do in the middle of the game, but it turns out there's very little kind of mid-game preparation. Most of it is more towards the beginning of the game and then towards the end of the game. There's a lot of just kind of watching the game in the middle.
How often, like, did you find any numbers about how often that type of thing happens to the one, whether you have a photo of happens?
So I found, I think there's 13 cases, and Duty Chan is the only one that's really tried to, that has put a lot of steps towards trying to remove that ban and prove that it kind of she doesn't have any advantage.
Okay. Caleb, I applaud you for researching that because it's obviously somewhat of a controversial subject. It takes a lot of courage to do that. So I appreciate that, and I really applaud you for researching that. What did you find, what inspired you actually to research that particular project?
So with Coach Stanley's, what he said during the interview, I wanted to find some cases of that where there's been exclusion. And that was by far one of the most interesting cases I've ever seen regarding that. And so I wanted to research more into that and try to prevent it from happening.
Great.
I know in years past, the players in a hit-a-thon will hit on their coaches' wishes. How are these players getting involved? I saw a team on.
Yeah, so the way we did that was that we had the Louisa Lightning baseball team help out with the players out in the field getting balls and bringing them back to the pitcher while some of the parents would pitch. And so they would pitch 5 pitches, and then the players also had the option of hitting off the tee if they wished. That was mainly just to keep it going and make it quicker so the coaches don't have to warm up, and then they would have to throw to their players. But there was also the option that the coaches could throw to their players. It was just if they were warm, they just couldn't warm up, or they'd have to warm up before the time slot.
During any of your research, did you find anything that showed that professional athletes' testosterone levels were higher when they don't play sports, or people who don't make it to a higher athletic level? Does that have anything to do with
So what I found with my research was that the testosterone amount, so for Duty Chan example, they would test it that it have higher testosterone, but they wouldn't be able to receive the testosterone as well as males would. It does have a little bit of an aerobic advantage, that is kind of obvious with why males would have better world record times than females. But for the most part, many of the individuals who have the high testosterone amounts can't receive it in the women's division. And many of the world record holders actually have less testosterone receivers than normal women.
What was her nationality?
Her nationality, she was Indian.
Does that have anything to do with it, or did you research anything? Did you see anything like that where, I mean, does that play into it at all, or maybe not?
I don't think it played
Okay.
much, but
Cam, you said that the people that had the higher testosterone levels, is there a cause?
so one of the most common types of intersex individuals is that they will have internal testicles, and so that would produce the testosterone that would be a lot higher than normal women. but like I said, they wouldn't be able to receive it as well.
So for clarification, you're saying that the receptors on their cell surfaces are not able to absorb that content.
Exactly.
So it literally just kind of goes into the bloodstream.
Exactly.
What was the most significant thing that you did with your internship? Like, what is something that most people don't know the athletic director?
I'd say the thing he's I'd say his job is it's not as hard as many people think. There's a lot to do. No, there's a lot to do, but a lot of the job is more just memorization of what needs to be done, and making sure people get to it, rather than any real difficult tasks. Yeah.
Organization. Yeah.